clear when I'm speaking my mind. Let me be clear when I'm stating my side. Let me be clear when I say that I mean all my words, so you know that I don't plan to lie. Let me be clear, I don't care if I get on get nerves, you will not push my words to the side. I'ma be clear when I tell you I've been on a mission, I got good intentions inside. Let me be clear, let me be clear, let me be clear, I don't need you to ride. Let me be clear, let me be clear, let me be clear, that you won't keep me quiet. Let me be clear, let me be clear.
Hello everybody!
Hey guys!
Welcome to this week's episode of Let's Be Clear with Janika and Doc.
Welcome back, welcome back.
Welcome back.
Welcome back, welcome back.
Y'all ready for the holidays? It's on us.
Holiday cup. Felt appropriate.
Yes.
Don't roll your eyes at me. That was so unnecessary. You see what I have to deal with?
See, Pot, if y'all be watching our episode,
have to tolerate.
y'all see her nonverbals with me.
That's because you be saying some crazy stuff though.
But that's what we here for. Thought-provoking, untraditional, non-conventional, baby. So today, we're gonna do a different episode of Let's Be Clear with Janika and Doc.
Not so unconventional.
But not so unconventional. We're gonna do a more kind of typical episode, but in our own unconventional Janika and Doc way, right?
Yes, that's the goal.
Yes. So we're on in holiday season, and everybody, in terms of all the therapists, psychologists, psychiatrists, everybody talks about these holiday seasons and how difficult this can be for folks for various reasons. And so that's true, but we want to kind of give our own take on these challenging times in a way that's still meaty for you. So we don't want to be too cliche-ish in this conversation.
So let us know if it comes off that way, because that's not our intent. So what for you is kind of the biggest challenge with holidays and families, and what do you think is kind of one of the biggest challenges that comes up?
I think just for me personally, and from what I have seen professionally and in some of my other friends' lives, I think the holidays can be difficult for people because of death and loss of loved ones. And for those that aren't with you, I'm thinking about several of my friends and loved ones who've had miscarriages, who's lost infants. That's challenging.
Yeah.
And I was just talking to Janika before we aired about this elder who I had the privilege to talk to recently. And she was married for almost 70 years up until this spring. And so this is her first holiday season without her husband.
I can't imagine what that must be like. I mean, to not just build a life with someone, but to spend that life together, right? Because, I work with a lot of couples, and I think one of the challenges, by the time I work with them, we're struggling, we're doing this thing, it's been a few years. I work with a lot of younger couples. And
younger in their marriages, in their relationships?
Yes. Young in age and also younger in their marriages. And then I hear about couples who have 30, 40, 50 years together, and I'm like, how? Like, how did y'all not kill each other? Right? Like, how did you... I say that facetiously, but also kind of seriously, like...
And this elder...
Test you.
This elder that I talked to, I said, can you share that with me? Because I'm in my second marriage. We're almost together for 10 years. And I'm like, tell me that what I'm going through and the challenges are not just unique to us. And she said, no, it's hard. She said it was hard. She said, so what y'all going through now, we've dealt with as well. And so I felt encouraged by that.
Right.
And so she was like, but, she told me some other things about how to manage that. So, you get there. But I think for me, I see a lot of folks draw inward during the holidays and tend to get very depressed and sad.
Because you miss that person.
Right, you miss that person. And then, it's hard to think about, celebrating or trying to be happy in the midst of this loss
Well, you know what?
and grief.
I know people who don't celebrate the holidays and they don't believe in Thanksgiving and they don't believe in Christmas and what it's supposed to stand for, right?
Right.
And I get it because I don't really believe in it for those
historical reasons. Right, I get that.
And
I like it due to the family connection.
And that's what it is for me. And so I think that's what it is for most people. And that's why, bless you.
Thank you.
Why it comes up and why it's so hard when it's a grief or why it's so challenging. It's not about, the first Thanksgiving and no one cares about that.
Right.
It's the idea of being with family we like to say it's about the birth of Jesus, but it's really not. It's about spending time with family and the holidays and cooking in the kitchen together and all the rituals and customs that we've built over the years, and not having those people around is really challenging.
And so I think a shift perhaps could be to not necessarily deny how you feel in that loss and grief, but to try and find a way to not get stuck there.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want that to come across as insensitive related to your grief or the death or the loss of your loved one.
Mm-hmm.
But, I often think about, my own loved ones who are dead, who, passed on, and they wouldn't necessarily want me to sit around and withdraw and be depressed. Easier said than done. Right. But, I feel like, if there's at least 5 to 10 minutes that you can do to maybe during this holiday season, 5 to 10 minutes of not sitting around drawn into yourself to maybe kind of pull yourself out of that, because maybe a whole day may be too much for some people. And I get that. Okay, so can we take smaller steps here? Right.
Or one of the things I've worked on is kind of still incorporating them in the holiday, whether it's a certain food that they liked or a certain custom or ritual, kind of still incorporating that even though they may not be there to do it, which is still hard, but it's a kind of a way of honoring them.
Right.
Which is challenging, but for me, it's giving me like a sense of hope in those moments. It's like they're still kind of here with me. It's a way for me to kind of honor the memory and kind of connect with them.
Yeah. I think the other biggest challenge that I've seen for folks, and some of y'all know what I'm talking about.
I wonder if you're going to say what I'm thinking.
What you thinking?
I'm thinking about when people are joining families and connecting families.
I wasn't, but that's a good one.
Because I've been
What
there.
Does that mean?
Oh, honey.
Because y'all don't realize, I realized that after the fact and in the midst of that craziness in my first marriage, when you marry somebody, you're also marrying into that family, y'all. Yeah, you're marrying that person, but you're marrying into that whole family system as well. Yes. That takes a while to wrap your mind around.
I think because we all have our own customs and rituals around holidays. And now I have to include this other person and their family.
Yes. Literally, the two become one, if we want to take that traditional, literal. And so let's talk about that for folks that may be struggling with that. Because y'all, I remember when this one,
biggest fight
5 years ago, I'm like,
biggest fight ever.
But both of y'all relatives live within 45 minutes to an hour of y'all. That's not the point. I don't understand why you just can't drive separately. Or you just can't split the day. It was deep. It was deep.
And I get belligerent. And I promise you, Christmas Day, I was
she did.
Hey, I was such a little Grinch.
Yeah. So how do you handle that? Especially if it's some in-laws that y'all still not cool with each other or still trying to figure each other out.
Right. Well, I think part of it is, at least for me, to me, it had to look a certain way. And in hindsight, I can now realize marriage, at no point, your marriage needs to look like someone else's or needs to follow a certain rule. Don't look at me like that, because I could see.
Can we say GROWTH?
Listen.
Period, as the city girls say.
What's the one girl?
Period, honey, young man.
Then she goes, growth.
Yes.
Because listen, this was a process, y'all. It was a process.
Yes, it was.
Because at that time, I was like, it had to look and feel a certain way, and I wasn't ready to let go of my Christmas customs. I'm still not. And now my brother has now joined, and we
That's
still not
hard for
letting
her
certain things
too.
go.
That's difficult for her.
My mom's
too.
like, "Oh, we can do Christmas at his house." I said, "No, we can't."
So how do you open, right? So being mindful, I think you said something though, letting go of what you think things should look like, particularly when you have a partner.
Yeah.
And you guys are partnering together. It's not going to be all on your terms or all on his or her terms either.
And it doesn't have to be the same every year.
Right.
You're negotiating. And you're coming up with your own customs and your own rituals, and it includes family. But it doesn't have to be like everybody does everything together. Like, there's flexibility in that, and that's okay. And there's give and take.
And yielding. There you go, give and take.
That's really what a recruit is, yield. Sometimes you just got to negotiate and yield a little bit more.
Right. Now, that's a big one for us, because sometimes we don't want to let that go. But it's like, if you're trying to partner with somebody else.
Which is more important to you?
Right.
Which one do you want more?
Right.
Your partner or your Christmas tradition? Your partner or your family of origin? Which one is actually more important to you? Because that's really what we're saying here. Which one are you choosing?
I think in a perfect world, hopefully you should be able to have both.
Yeah, in a perfect world.
Sometimes you can. In a perfect world. But I think what we're talking about requires a lot of communication.
Yes.
And openness, and willing to be flexible. And I think sometimes the core issues or the major problems that couples may be experiencing in their relationship, I think they all come to the surface at this time of year. So, whatever issues y'all haven't resolved, I think they all come out now.
Because here's how the fight goes, right? It's not about, well, I don't want to go to your mom's house and I want to, it's, oh, really? Because you selfish.
There you go. That's
ain't
about
got
some
nothing to do
other
with his
stuff.
mama.
Right.
It's because he's selfish.
Right.
Or she's this, or
Right.
she's, ain't got nothing, has all these core issues come out
Right.
that have nothing to do with that surface stuff.
Right. So be careful with that, y'all. And so,
it gets ugly.
Yeah,
So
if for nothing else, I think you and your partner should make sure, as best as you can, you two are on the same page.
And I think if you're on the same page, you can't be swayed by in-laws. Because sometimes y'all can sit there and decide what you want, and someone's mom goes, "Oh, but you're gonna miss Christmas breakfast." And you're like, "Oh, but I do like Christmas breakfast, babe. Can we get Christmas?" And now it's a whole problem, and so is triangulated. It's a whole.
What do you mean triangulated?
I'm tired of you making me define that.
But they may not know.
I know, because I keep saying it. So,
but this is a huge one, you guys.
So it's pretty much there's an issue, and you and one other person are talking about something, but somehow this other person, this third party, is now part of it, and so it becomes literally a little triangle.
Right. Literally.
And it's conflictual. It's not like it's a Three's Company. Things are, rainbows and sunshine. It's the three of us are arguing, and I'm now speaking through a third party. It's messy.
So you gotta be careful with that,
Yeah.
in particular. And I think one of the other issues challenging things that I've seen for people during this time of year is we don't choose the families that we're born into, and that can be difficult, especially for folks that don't necessarily have the best relationships or the healthiest relationships. Y'all know what I'm talking about with some of y'all mothers or fathers or uncles or whoever. And so then, you struggle with maybe this guilt or this sense of obligation that I really don't want to do this, but this is my mother.
Right.
But this is my father. And so how do you manage that during these times?
Right. I think boundaries overall in life are huge, even more so during the holidays. And I love when people get mad at you for your boundaries. Absolutely love it. Because they're like, that's abusive, that's mean, you're being harsh. No, I'm setting the rules for my house. Really. Like, when I come to your house, if you tell me to take my shoes off, I gotta take my shoes off. If I don't want to, I better not come over. Very simple. If you don't want people eating in your car, I better not expect to be in your car. It's simple rules. But really what you're saying is this is how I want to be treated, and this is how I'm asking you to connect with me. And if you don't want to do that, what you're telling me is that you don't want to connect with me. You're rejecting me. And that's a big pill to swallow.
So should our audience, y'all hearing that? So potentially y'all ready to say that to some of y'all mothers or fathers?
Can we acknowledge and accept that sometimes the folks, and we've said this before, sometimes the folks that we love and want to connect with cannot, will not, and are not capable of connecting with us. And can we allow them to be where they are? We come and say, hey, happy holidays. Oh, I've been here for 3 hours. Dinner's done. I'm going to see y'all later. Is that a possibility?
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
That's a real challenge because, we're not talking about not respecting your elders, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to give place to your own disrespect or disregard. There's a difference.
Right.
And I know especially for a lot of us in our families, the two are synonymous. Mm-hmm. They're the same.
Me asking for respect is disrespectful.
What do you mean respect?
You a child. What you mean?
I don't look. And y'all know what I'm talking about with the eyes closed.
I hate you when you do that.
I don't care if you are 35 and you got 3 kids. I'm still the mother. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Because my mother, I tried this with her a few years ago. She got on my nerves a little bit, y'all, when we was on the phone.
You did that to your mother?
She called my phone a couple years ago. I said, Ma, I'm going to get off this phone with you. I don't like how this is going. I'm going to hang up. I don't care whose phone bill this is. I said, but Ma, you called me. I don't give a daggone enough. I called the man in the moon. I'm still talking, and this conversation ain't done until I say it's done. And I don't care if I'm on your phone or not. And if you pay the bill for the next 10 years, guess who didn't hang up the phone? But I'm just saying, y'all, and that was, my mother and I have a great relationship, but y'all know what I'm talking about. Sometimes them seniors, honey, they can take you a little bit.
Mothers and daughters especially.
Yeah, they can take you to a little different place. You know what I'm talking about, too.
Shut up.
And so, managing that, balancing that, right? It's very difficult. And so, I would say, I don't think there's ever a time or a situation where you should, once you get old enough and you know better, you start to hopefully do better. I don't think there's any situation or time where you should ever give place to your own disrespect and disregard. Up to and including with a parent or another family member.
Right.
So that may mean, maybe not 8 hours. Maybe, this person may have a shelf life for half of that. Or maybe after about 45 minutes, once that dinner is done and they get a little bit of that sauce up in them.
When dinner's done, you see the wine coming, you're like, all right, I got to.
It might get a little
how
different.
They get.
Right. So, doesn't have to be all or nothing.
Right.
Because no matter what, a lot of us, even in some of the worst situations and the most unhealthy situations, there's still that part of us that desires to connect and be in relationship with our people.
But again, that's the point of the boundary. The boundary might be, I don't like this person when they drink. So that's my boundary.
Right.
And I want to connect until I hit that boundary. So when you start drinking, I'm out.
Right.
It doesn't mean I don't love you. It doesn't mean I don't want to connect with you. But that's my boundary.
Right.
It's just that simple.
All right, y'all. Anything else? Before I hopefully we discussed that in not too of a cliche way. How was that for you?
Didn't feel super cliche. You let me know.
All right, guys. That's it for us today.
Yeah.
Hopefully you will enjoy whatever you do next week during this Thanksgiving holiday.
Yeah.
If you celebrate it, that's great. If you don't celebrate it, that's great too. Just find time to be at peace within yourself and to surround yourselves with situations and other people that bring you peace as well. All right?
Sounds good.
All right. We'll see you next time. Be kind to others, but most importantly, be kind to yourselves.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Let me me be clear when I'm speaking my mind. Let me be clear when I'm stating my side. Let me be clear when I say that I mean all my words, so you know that I don't plan to lie. Let me be clear, I don't care if I get nerves, you will not push my words to the side. I'ma be clear when I tell you I've been on a mission, I got good intentions inside. Let me be clear, let me be clear, let me be clear. I don't need you to ride. Let me be clear, let me be clear, let me be clear that you won't keep me quiet. Let me be clear, let me be clear, let me be clear. I don't care about the climate. Let me be clear, let me be clear, let me be clear that you all are invited. Let me be clear that I see all the violence getting so bad that it's breaking my silence. We got some leaders that's always been steering us wrong. To be honest, we need a new pilot. You need some help, I ain't talking about sirens. Hope I can bring to your life some new guidance. Lately our world has been constantly going astray. To be real, everybody been wildin'. Once I was asleep, maybe I was just drunk. How did we end up with President Trump? Was he really voted or we out of luck? Did he pay the Russians to give him a bump? Somebody just tell me I really been stuck. I've been banging my head to the point I got lumps. If you justify that, then you cracking me up. If you don't like my work, then I don't give a cluck. Amazon getting wild, I ain't talking about prime. The Brazilian